There's a whole lot in the papers, as I'm sure you've seen, about the Beckham family. There are rumours that David and Victoria have fallen out with their oldest son, Brooklyn, who didn't even show up to any of his dad's birthday celebrations, and they think it's because of his wife, Nicola. Now, obviously, nobody ever really knows what's going on behind closed doors, but it does seem as if Nicola's relationship with her parents-in-law has been somewhat fraught, right, Anthea?
Yes, it does. Now then, where are we going to start on this one? The thing is, I think you should put your best foot forward. Sometimes you only have to deal with these people at, events. So suck it up and try and get on with everybody, unless there is something that's really a huge problem. But just talking about the Beckhams, now I don't know the Beckhams, but we've been around people who do, and we have known them since they first got together. We were doing like GMTV. I remember covering their wedding and everything. It was all very exciting. We know that their parents have always been very much part of their family.
Yes, true.
They are family people. And Victoria in particular, I think she has had arms of steel around that family. And they've gone through a lot, and there have been a few dodgy moments in the past, and she has stuck in there for the family. She's looked after the family. She's kept them together. Not only her birth children, but also nephews, nieces, just the whole shebang. I cannot believe for one moment it has anything to do with the Beckhams.
I've got to say, I agree with every word you say. They adore their kids. And their idea of a perfect summer is holidays with their children. They love their adult children. They love being with them all the time. And I think any parent knows you just would not say or do anything that would make a distance between you and
they both come the problem.
They both come from very good families.
Well, how is that a problem?
Because is it, again, what you've just described is probably very close to my mother, who is your Greek mother. The only difference between my mother and a pit bull is that a pit bull eventually lets go. I love my mother dearly. But she is, arms round still her sons, her boys. And when I married my partner, that actually became a little bit of a problem. Well-intentioned on my mother's part, but she was always there. She was number one in my life. And I think that someone is being a coward in the relationship when it comes, if it is Brooklyn, his wife, and there's tension there somehow, someone's being a coward, because I had to stand up to my mother and say to her, I'm married now, and especially when it came to the kitchen, when we used to be entertaining, she was used to coming to my house, and it was almost like her kitchen, and she would say, right, well, I'll start putting things in, I'll start washing up, I'll start doing stuff. No, it's now my partner's kitchen. And I had to stand up to her and say, Mum, no, when we're entertaining, you sit down. This isn't your domain anymore, it's his.
What did he do, though?
Well, he was afraid to stand up to her. He was scared to death.
This is your partner?
Yeah, he was
being scared of your mum?
Yes.
OK.
Carl.
Carl. So I'm sure Carl would have put his best foot forward and thought, right, OK, then, I completely understand.
They were just slagging each other off to me. And I had to stand up to one of them and say, actually, and I was married then, and I had to say, I love you dearly, Mum, it's well-intentioned. How would you feel if someone was in your kitchen doing
I
stuff?
tell you what, we'll hear from Nicola in just a second, but let's go to Anne in Hertfordshire on the line. Anne, you feel very strongly that you really should stay on the right side of your in-laws.
Yeah, I'm lucky to be married to my husband. We've been married 38 years now. We've got twins of 28, and he's got 6 brothers and sisters, and we all get on like a house on fire. And that stems from his parents. I came into the family as a single mum with a little boy. My husband didn't want anything to do with him, and they took me in and they called my son their grandson.
Oh, lovely. Well, they sound like adorable people, Anne. They sound lovely people.
Yeah, and they're lovely. We all get on. We was at a barbecue Saturday night. We all go round each other's houses for birthdays, kids' birthdays. Now the kids are starting to have kids of their own. Yeah. So we're meeting the grandchildren.
So it's a big clan and you get on well and you're really lucky and they embraced you and embraced your son. Yeah. That's fabulous. It's great to have you on, Anne. Thank you very much. Nicola, it's not always that simple, though. Sometimes you just rub each other up the wrong way or you never quite get the response you were hoping for. And I'm an agony aunt, and for years and years, I mean, I've been doing it 100 years, loads and loads and loads of problems are about the in-laws.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree with Anthea that you should always try. And I'm lucky I get on really well with my mother-in-law. She's Greek, and she's Greek. And when I first got with Tom and we moved in really, really quickly, I fell pregnant after 9 months, and I think she was horrified. And I think she'll say not because she's lovely, but. I mean, he brought a page 3 girl home. I think she was probably like, really, Tom, you know? But we get on so well. Yeah, when we first moved in together and she'd come round, she'd start cleaning my oven and I'd think, she thinks I'm not good and she thinks I can't do this and it would really upset me. Now she comes round, I'm like, I haven't cleaned that oven. I go to her, I haven't cleaned that oven. I say, before I start cooking this roast, you've got to do it because smoke will be everywhere. And she goes, yep, I brought my rubber gloves, and she comes in. If she wants to, she'll go to me, right, you can come here for Sunday lunch or I can come to you. And then I go, whatever's easiest for the boys, like my kids. So she'll come, she goes, but don't worry, I'll bring the beef. I'm like, bring the beef. I don't.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah.
She sounds
like,
adorable.
She's
Perfect.
really good.
Yeah.
She is really good. But if she wasn't, I wouldn't feel obliged. I really wouldn't. Like, I would try for my husband, but I'm not going to spend time with people I don't like. Like, life is too short, and I just won't do that. So I am extremely lucky.
Yeah.
She is lovely, and I got over the fact that I thought that. Well, she basically knew I wasn't good at cleaning the oven. I'm not. But,
That comes from love. That is love.
If I know you like it, but if you didn't...
I wouldn't.
No, but if it was like a family event and you thought, look, it's going to, for the sake of the peace, I'm just going to turn up, put my plastic smiles on, be nice and get on with it, because it's only going to last a few hours and it'll all be over.
If you could do that, but if there was someone in the family that was like making digs about me or having opinions so different. I mean, if you've got a difference of opinion than me, I have to say I'm one of those people.
She is one of those people.
Yeah.
That's
No,
why you're here.
yeah,
She is one of these people.
So
I tell you what, let's go to Robin. Robin's in Gloucestershire. Hello, Robin. Is it our duty to get on with the in-laws, whether we like them or not?
Hi, Vanessa.
Hi.
No, it's certainly not a duty. And I think a friend said to me, she was a wonderful friend, whose family have rejected her because she didn't marry the right person. And I said, well, I'm in a similar situation where, I've been completely blocked or, what's the word, treated rather shoddily. And she said, wear it like a crown and just leave,
Gosh. But
And I think
why?
also-
Sorry, Robin, I don't want to pry too much, but of course I do really. I'm desperate to know what's going on.
Come on.
Why? And also, haven't you heard the word shoddily used for far too long? Why have you been shoddily treated by the in-laws? What did they think was wrong with you? What were you lacking, did they think?
Well, it's not. To be honest, it's not so much me because my in-laws have joined the choir invisible. Thank God.
Oh, right.
They're no longer with us.
God.
So, but what I would say, for this friend who had to deal with great heartbreak, and she dealt with it beautifully. Also, can I say, I can't remember the first name, Mr. Fruth first, standing up and saying no. I am so old, and I've only in the last few years been able to say no, and it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
And yes, but saying no to your mother, especially a Greek mother, that's really a feat. That's a feat of great heroism, and also taking your life in your own hands. You just don't know whether you're going to survive the process. Robin, thank you very much indeed. I mean, the thing is, I think that you have to factor in, if there are kids in the equation,
of course,
that these people are their grandparents, and if you're lucky, they love them. They actually love them. They don't see them as these, strangers that you're having to accommodate into your life. They're flesh of their flesh, blood of their blood. And so it really helps if you can somehow get on.
But even if you don't get on with them or you don't like them, and maybe they are sneering at you and don't feel that you're quite right or any of those things, you're doing it not for you. You're doing it for your partner because they are blood. And you might as well just play the game, stick your crown on. Revenge is a dish best served cold. We're in a business where we've gone to places and people have not been very kind to us. You and I most definitely have had that. We just keep smiling.
Oh, I don't.
And tap dancing and go, it's all right, we'll get our own way in the end.
I think that I wouldn't want my kids to, for me personally, I wouldn't want my kids to see me being in a situation where someone was being unkind to me and me just smiling.
OK,
That's
question. If you were Victoria Beckham, what would you do? Let's start with Christo, who'd love to be Victoria Beckham.
I would love
to be Victoria Beckham. What would you do?
Victoria Beckham. I would... if presumably she's tried with Brooklyn, and if that hasn't worked, I would go directly to Nicola and say, right, what's the issue? We need to sit down and we need to talk it out because Brooklyn is useless and he's not communicating what's going on.
What would you do?
I'd make him change his name because then he would be absolutely screwed because he's got nothing much going on apart from being a Beckham.
That's
what
like disowning him. You disown him.
Billionaire
yeah,
Nelson Peltz. It's not a a shoddy
Yes.
marriage. that one
Brooklyn
in terms of
Smith.
the
Brooklyn
finances.
Smith. That's what he'd have to
I wouldn't
become.
really. I would be
Yeah.
clever if I was Victorian. I think my mother-in-law's done this really well. And I know she adores me now, but did she to begin with? I don't know. So, but she never ever let it show, and she's taught me what I'm going to be like with my son's girlfriend,
is?
and I'm going to be like. Rocky is with a girl for 4 years. She's my best friend. I love her, I adore her, because if she loves me, which we're lucky we get on, it means she wants to be at my house. That means I've got my boy at my house. Be smart.
Be smart.
Yeah, be smart.
Absolutely.
Yes. I feel I've got 2 beautiful sons-in-law.
Yes.
And as far as I'm concerned, whenever there's a dispute between them and my daughters, not very often, but I always take the sons-in-law. Because I just want them to adore me. That's all. I don't want them to say, "Oh God, not your mother coming round again." That's what I don't want. I
No,
want them to
they're
say, "Your
always at
lovely
your
mother
house.
So you're
coming
being
round again,
smart.
sprinkling stardust on our humble
Yeah.
lives. How great!"
Yes.
That's what I want to do. So I'm like, yes, whatever you say.
And can I say, since that intervention I made, they now absolutely adore each other, and they now have that attitude. He loves her coming over. It's solved everything, and actually, I'm the one that is the odd one out.
Well, we know that. We knew that.
That's true.